Self-Help Us podcast. I'm Priya.
And I'm Sophia, and today we're talking about The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, our first fictional book.
Yes, so that's pretty exciting. I have heard about The Bell Jar for years now, and I just never picked it up, really. I've heard, the most amazing things from a lot of the women in my life because this book focuses on mental health and, being a woman, really.
Yeah, it's kind of the poster book. It's, almost stereotypically now the poster book for, women who have a mental illness and also don't know what to do with their life and kind of goth and emotional.
I mean...
it's like the book you read in college.
Oh, yeah. I've been there.
Yes.
You guys have probably been there. It's a great read, honestly. Yeah. And it's pretty short, too. It was only, 250 pages?
I think it's only short for us, Priya, because we're nerdy bookworms.
That's true. Any book under 300, I'm like, I can finish that in a day.
Yeah. And by the way, our time today is really tight for recording because Priya has to go to therapy afterwards. I was telling her how on brand it was for us.
Yes, my therapy got rescheduled. We gotta bust this shit out.
All right. Okay, who wants to know about The Bell Jar?
I do.
Okay, so the book follows Esther Greenwood, who has an internship with a fancy magazine in New York City.
Oh.
And the world should be her oyster, Priya, but she can't shake this feeling of being paralyzed and not having any energy, and also dealing with the fact that she's a woman in the 1950s and she doesn't have much choice except to get married and pop out a baby
or five
when she really wants to be a writer and be a famous poet or any of the other million things you could and should be able to do as a woman, but you can't because you're in 1953.
Yeah, basically. And it just takes us through her whole journey from start to finish. And one thing that I actually really liked about the book is that there is really no hard finish.
Yeah.
It ends in a very open-ended way, or at least I read it that way. So it made me identify more with the character in the story because it's you don't know. There isn't necessarily a happy ending, but there can be.
Yeah, I think I read it as sort of a happy ending. She kind of gets the help that she needs.
Mm-hmm.
But a couple things about that. She talks about in the book about what if this happens again? What if I'm in Europe or I'm during my job or going through my school and depression and mental illness.
Yeah.
And I definitely relate to that. And second, Sylvia Plath herself and her life has become kind of larger than this book. Mm-hmm. And it sort of has become part of this book's narrative. So in this book, Esther kind of gets the treatment that she needs, but obviously Sylvia doesn't. So there's this sort of intertwined dramatic irony with both of their lives. And also because Sylvia based this book a lot on things that happened in her life.
Yeah.
I don't know. It kind of mingles it with a kind of sadness as well.
Right, it's more of she was writing a what could have been or what should have happened kind of thing, or what she wished had happened.
I think this book was written after all of her experiences in New York.
Yeah.
So it's not really what should have been. It's more of a novelization of some parts of her life, but not wholly. I think she meant for this as a sampling of her work, and as most first novels, you take inspiration a lot from your own life. Mm-hmm. So, and this book has a special place in my heart. I mean, there are certain passages, I'm going to read you one, that, just hit me as a depressed person, as a person with chronic depression. When you feel seen and recognized immediately, and it could be, a GIF or a meme, but sometimes it's a book. There's this passage. It's on page 2, by the way. So I was like, ooh, she gets me.
Right from the start, you were like, hell yeah, Sylvia. I see you. You see me. We're on the same page.
We're seeing each other, girlfriend. So the passage is, I was supposed to be having the time of my life. I was supposed to be the envy of thousands of other college girls just like me all over America who wanted nothing more than to be tripping about in those same size 7 patent leather shoes I'd bought in Bloomingdale's. One lunch hour with a black patent leather belt and black patent leather pocketbook to match. And when my picture came out in the magazine the 12 of us were working on, drinking martinis in a skimpy imitation silver lame bodice stuck onto a big fat cloud of white tulle on some starlight roof, in the company of several anonymous young men with all-American bone structures hired or loaned for the occasion. Everybody would think I must be having a real whirl. Like, just that feeling of I have everything I'm supposed to have to be happy. Like, I have a roof over my head. I have all the opportunities I could have. I have friends. I have family that love me, but somehow I'm still sad.
It's like that disconnect that you feel from the world around you is something that I feel she really describes beautifully. And also, I just really love the way she writes. It feels like poetic almost, but like very straightforward at the same time. It's like she creates this whole world and image and really pulls you in, and that's something that, yes, a lot of like great authors have that ability, but I think with Sylvia Plath, because of the content that she's writing about, it makes it all the more real.
Yeah, and I think she wanted to be known more as a poet than a novelist.
Yeah.
Before her life was cut short. She also did write a lot of poems, none of which I have read, but I would definitely delve more into it because like the book that I have also has like biographical notes and like a foreword about her life and like the context behind this book. So I just would love to get her her more, and like it just makes me more sad that she didn't get to share more of herself with the world.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, going back to that feeling of like disconnect where it's like my life is on paper fucking fantastic.
Yes.
Like, why don't I feel fantastic? Like, where is that? I mean, I've certainly struggled with that multiple times during my life at different stages, and I feel like, you know, whether you struggle with depression or any other type of mental health issue, like, you do go through this in your life where you're just looking around you and you're like, am I happy? Like, why is this not making me happy? And I think that is... I mean, okay, I have a lot of issues with, like, society.
Like, you know.
Just, like, in general.
Just, like, society and stuff in it.
Yeah. But it's also, like, that idea of, like, capitalism where a lot of what society tells us about, like, being happy is very based on, like, material things and job titles and, like, where you live rather than the other things that are important, like relationships and spending time with people you love. So specifically when I do feel that kind of disconnect in my own life, it's because I'm not listening to what actually makes me happy, but rather I'm following what like society and advertising and whatever is telling me will make me happy.
That's true.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and she specifically really struggles with this in the book because there's so much pressure on her to have a baby. Mm-hmm. And she cannot connect with motherhood at all, and she says she doesn't want to.
You know, it's interesting that you brought that up right now because I was actually just on, I think it was Reddit or Quora, one of those, and there's specifically like a subreddit for, it was Reddit then. For women who are choosing not to be mothers.
Yes, I know this Reddit.
Yeah, and there's basically like a huge support group because like from a very young age, it's just very much like this is what you're gonna do. This is what's expected of you. Procreation, like blah blah blah. But like, it's not like it's what society expects of you, but it's not necessarily something that you have to do. But if you choose not to do it, there's like an unbelievable amount of pressure and like struggle that comes with it.
Yeah, you're not a bad person if you don't want to have children, and it also doesn't mean that you hate children. It's just parenthood is a whole different thing.
It's a circus. It's crazy, and it's for the rest of your fucking life.
The rest of your life, and that kid could turn out to be a serial killer.
Or
you can't like start over.
Yeah,
you can't shove it back in your vagina.
Redo. Or worse than a serial killer, it could be a total asshole.
Oh my god.
Like, I mean, okay, serial killer is pretty bad, but like, can you imagine having to deal with an asshole that you made?
Yeah, the kind of douche who like cuts you off in traffic, and you're like, I made that. That came out of me.
Yeah, are you gonna be fucking proud of that? Hell no.
No way.
You should have just like, saved all your money and moved to Italy and had a bunch of sex with Sicilian men. I mean, that is the dream life. Right? I mean, I don't know. Personally, I'm undecided. I'm leaning more towards having kids, but at the same time, it's funny because when I talk to like some of my friends and they're like, yeah, like, you know, like, I don't really feel like I want kids or anything like that. And I'm like, that's fine. You don't owe me an explanation. Like,
No,
that's
you don't
okay.
owe anyone an explanation.
Yeah, honestly, fuck that so much. You don't owe anyone anything, especially if it's something that you've decided to do or not do, or to pursue or not pursue in your own life. Like, that's just so stupid. Also, in one of our favorite podcasts called My Favorite Murder, the two co-hosts, Karen and Georgia, always say this quote, I guess, or this phrase, and I've really taken it to heart. And honestly, I can tell you, like, 100,000% that my life has improved dramatically just by following this advice. And that phrase is, fuck politeness. Like, honestly, if you're in a conversation with a rando and they're like, oh, you don't want to have kids, just be like, no, I don't. And end the conversation.
And just look
there.
them in the eye while you do it.
Yeah, fuck that. You don't have to explain yourself to anyone. If some, like, guy is bothering you on the street, don't be polite to him and be like, oh, I don't want to come off as rude. Like, maybe I should just, like, not move so make him... Yeah,
you can always apologize later. But if you have that feeling in your gut that you should leave the situation, do it.
Yeah, don't let, like, all of the societal brainwashing and, like, expectations of, like, cultural politeness or whatever to get in the way of you ever feeling safe or standing up for, like, what you believe in. And that's just my rant, my little spiel on fucking politeness and never having to explain yourself to anyone, because you don't know anyone shit, guys.
Someone told me once, like, you're not going to have children. Who will take care of you when you're old? And I'm like, that's such a strange thing to say, because, like, when we're not in 18th century France, where, like, people only had children so they can work the farm and make bread for Marie Antoinette or some shit.
Wait. That's why I'm having kids. Are you telling me that is no longer valid?
Priya lives in an apartment, but she also owns a farmstead out in Wisconsin.
I own a vast farmstead.
Many, many lands and acres.
Many cows. At least 3.
That's a lot of cows. It's very valuable.
Thank you. Livestock, etc.
But if that's the only reason you're having children, then that's kind of a self-absorbed endeavor. Where parenthood is supposed to be the most selfless thing you can do. You're giving your body and your mind to this other human being. Yeah.
Especially if you're a woman. It's like you get everything.
Ooh.
I'm like I'm thinking again about whether
I went to nursing school for 2 years, and I saw things there.
What did you see? Oh my gosh.
I mean, I saw someone giving birth, and it was like a close-up of a vagina.
Oh, fun.
So, yeah.
You.
So, and like they showed like the sewing afterwards.
Ah!
And I'm like, woo, girl. Oh, you know what? I called my mother afterwards. And I'm like, thank you so much. I'm so sorry. I love you.
Oh my god, I'm dying.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and they also showed a C-section, which is like supposed to be the safer option where they just kind of pop the moonroof, but but it's just as gnarly.
Oh,
so
geez.
Call your mommies, guys. I mean, if you have a good relationship with her. If not, fuck her. But but if you have a good relationship with your mother, call your mommies and tell them, I'm sorry for breaking your body to be in this world. Amen.
Exactly. Be like, I am so unbelievably grateful that you destroyed your body so that I could have a body.
Which may or may not have children. My choice.
Yeah, exactly. My choice, bitch. Oh my gosh. I'm just wondering if any of our listeners, I mean, they probably do, have experiences like this where they've made certain choices in their life. And it could be anything from, like, getting a tattoo on your arm, or like deciding not to have children, or getting a really short haircut, and like getting these comments, especially from other women that are like, oh, you know, like men really like long hair, or like, oh, don't you think that tattoo is gonna look stupid when you're 60?
Mm-hmm.
And I just, those comments really piss me off, because it's like, first of all, I am putting on makeup and cutting my hair for my damn self. I'm not doing it to attract men. If you're doing that to attract men, good luck, but that is not my end goal in life. Mm-hmm. And for the tattoo thing, it's like, how do you even know I'm going to be 60? I can die tomorrow. Also, if I like it now, it's my body, it's my choice. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
I love this, like, deconstructionist attempt to just
overthrow society.
No, just to overthrow those comments that you're getting. Like, how do you know I'm going to be 60? How do you know I have a vagina?
Honestly, though,
Honestly, like, I don't have a uterus, so this is quite a rude question. Which, like, some women don't, so that question is even ruder, you know?
Yeah. Also, I mean, this whole conversation is a side note, but a side note to the side note is when couples get married and then immediately everyone is like, oh, when are you going to have kids? When are you going to have kids?
Ooh, kick in the face is what that deserves.
I know, because it's like, first of all, what if we don't want kids? Second of all, that is not why we got married.
And it's crazy because this book was set in 1953, and we're still having these conversations in 2018.
Exactly.
There's a subreddit about it. Do you think Sylvia Plath would like subreddits? Do you think she would troll some subreddits?
She would fucking love subreddits. But I don't think she would post. I think she'd lurk.
Oh, she'd lurk, yes.
Yeah, she'd be a...
And she'd upvote.
Top 10 lurker. Yeah.
And the thing she also talks about is, like, settling for the first man that seems to be perfect for you, but you don't like. Like, there's somebody in the book that pursues her, and he's a doctor, and he's an all-American boy. He's handsome.
His name is Billy? Buddy, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's an all-American name.
It is an all-American 1950s red-blooded American boy name.
Yeah, he has, like, a Letterman jacket on.
Oh, my.
And her mother's like, oh, isn't he a nice, handsome boy you could settle down with?
And she's like, fuck that.
Yeah, fuck Buddy.
Fuck Buddy. She might want Buddy for a fuck buddy, but she doesn't.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't. She hates him.
Well, someone else might want Buddy
That's
for
true.
a fuck buddy.
That's true.
She does hate him.
She hates him so much, guys.
Oh my god.
Buddy is like every man who thinks he's too good for anyone, and he looks at you like, oh, you're lucky to have me.
And you're like, bitch,
no, you're not.
You're lucky to have me.
Exactly.
Fucking tell him, Esther. But yeah, guys, don't settle. Fuck society, fuck politeness, and don't settle. Those are the 3 main talking points for today. Yeah.
Yeah, and she also talks about a lot of the physical symptoms. Like, she talks about eating a lot. She talks about gaining weight. She talks about not being able to sleep, which is hard. Have you ever experienced any of that?
Oh, absolutely. The eating I have, the inability to, like, shut my brain off and just go the fuck to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I do is, like, I cannot get my brain to shut up, and I just over worry and overthink about everything, and even though I'm so tired of it, I just cannot turn off that, like, stream of chatter and, like, the insane amount of work that my brain is doing for no good reason. That's something that happens to me. And then the other end of the spectrum is just, like, when I'm so numb, I guess is the right word, that I just don't care about anything. Like, I just don't care. Like, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, well, okay, I'm sitting. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely the eating. Like, I definitely binge, and I've gained a lot of weight from it. I'm 5. This is very vulnerable. I'm 5 foot, and the heaviest I've been is, like, 193 pounds.
You're only 5 foot?
Yeah.
I thought you were taller than that.
No, have you seen me?
Yes, I'm seeing you right now.
That's why I'm so shocked that you think I'm taller.
I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm shorter than I am then.
I think you're always looking down on me, that's for sure.
I mean, just physically, never emotionally.
Aww.
We're buddies. But fuck Buddy.
You're silly.
I am so silly today.
Oh yeah, because you're very sleep deprived.
I am
sleep.
Extremely sleep deprived. I was telling Sophia before we started recording that I've been having a lot of, like, sexy dreams lately. And she was like, ooh, who's in your dreams? And I was like, Henry Cavill, obviously, but only with the mustache. I like him with the mustache. I like mustaches. I know it's weird.
Oh, they always remind me of dads. No, gross. Now I know too much about you. It's hit that point.
No, but seriously, I think he looks so cute with that Mission Impossible mustache, and then you were telling me.
And then I was telling her that I have sex dreams, but never about the people I want to have sex with. I wake up and I'm like, disgusting, gross. And I never come to awareness while I'm, like, having sex in the dream. It's always when I wake up, and then I feel disgusting.
You're like, what have I done?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. I actually went to a comedy show last week or the week before with a friend, and a comic on stage was talking about how him and his girlfriend were asleep one night, and then at like around 3 a.m, his girlfriend wakes him up and was like, I just had a dream where you cheated on me. How the fuck could you do that? And she was legitimately mad at him for like 2 or 3 days. And he was like, what? And I'm like, I don't know how I would react if I had a dream like that, where like someone I was like in love with and living with cheated on me in my dream. I think it would freak me out, but I wouldn't be mad at them.
Yeah, it would freak me out too. I think it's more from it's more of a projection of your fear, rather than about the other person's action.
Why are you laughing?
Because that should be obvious.
Yeah, no, it is obvious, but like, I could very, very easily see myself like freaking out for no reason.
Okay, yeah.
But I think I would internally freak out and then be very distant for a couple days while I got over it, and then I'll be like, oh, I'm fine now. It's cool. It was a dream. It's cool. It's
So bring it back to Sylvia for a little bit.
Yeah, let's do that.
A not obvious detail actually is that she actually has a child.
Yes.
In the book.
Wait, what?
Yeah, in the book. There's like a throwaway line. Remember, she said that she got this prize from her magazine days, and she cut like the sunglass case open, and she gave the starfish to her child. And it's like one line in the book.
I did not get that at all.
I know,
think I skimmed over it or something.
It's one line, but it kind of skims over, and she gives you that line to let you know that she's going to get past whatever she's going to get past.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's such a throwaway line. Or not even, I'm not going to disrespect her by saying it's a throwaway line, but it's cleverly just one sentence. So you do kind of forget about it unless you're paying attention.
I apparently was not paying attention at that part.
Yeah. So what do you think happened to Esther? Let's have a little book club talk. Ooh. So what do you think happened to Esther, where she said she did not want to have children at all? She wants to be a writer and a poet. She does not want to even get married, but she has a child after the events of the book.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I haven't even thought about it at all. After the book ended, I was like, I like that. It's very open.
Yeah, it is very open. And again, even with that detail, it's very open because she doesn't tell you what happens in between.
Yeah, exactly.
And who did she have this child with?
That's my question. Fucking Buddy?
Not Buddy. Ew!
I mean...
Oh, it is possible.
It is possible.
I mean, she talks about in this fig tree passage of the book. Do you remember? Mm-hmm. It's one of the most famous passages of the book where she talks about each path of her life becoming like a fig in this big fig tree, but she's too paralyzed to actually choose which fig to eat, so they all plop down rotten at her feet.
Oh my gosh, analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
Sylvia, you get me.
Yeah, it's the analysis paralysis. It's not knowing what to do with your life, but it's also like the choices that you're constricted to as a woman.
Mm-hmm. Right, there's only a certain number / type of fig that you can have.
Yeah. And figs are a very like feminine fruit. They're usually used as...
They are.
I just picked up on that right now. I'm so proud.
Yeah.
That's true.
Vaginas.
Sex dreams.
Figs. All in a day's work.
So do you like the book, Priya?
I would definitely 100% recommend it. I don't know that it is something that I would read religiously every year, but I can definitely see myself picking it up when I'm going through my own hard time in the future.
Yeah, and then let me just explain the bell jar really quick, because it's an iconic title.
Yes.
But do you remember what the bell jar is?
I want to say yes, but I also don't want to look like a fool. So I'm going to say no.
No, do it.
No.
Priya's turning away from me.
I have averted my gaze.
So the bell jar is the feeling of depression that she describes. And just imagine like...
A bell jar?
No, like the glass dome that you use to cover cakes.
Yeah, so like guys, in Beauty and the Beast, like,
yes,
you know the rose?
Yes,
that's
the
what
bell
I was
jar.
picturing.
Yes,
the glass top on top of the rose.
Yes, so she imagines depression being always under the bell jar. Like it doesn't even matter whether you're on a cruise ship or in your house or like on an amazing trip to Europe. You're always under the bell jar and you always feel just numb.
Yeah, it's like that thing that's lurking and it's constantly there. And I honestly feel like the scariest thing about it, or the thing that's so, like, makes it so much worse than what it is, which it is really bad, but the thing that makes it, like, next level is, like, you always carry it with you, and you never know
That's
when it's
true.
gonna hit. And that
my heart dropped when you say that.
Right? It's because like scary
it's
stuff.
True. Yeah.
Because you could be going through it really bad for like 2 weeks and then you're okay. But part of you, and for me, it's kind of like a big part of me is always waiting for the next shoe to drop. Like I'm like, is today the day? Is tomorrow the day? And that like worrying and anxiety, it really kills even like the time that I have outside of the bell jar, if you will. And so that's just something that I wanted to mention. Like, it's always there, and the scariest part is knowing that it could come back at any time.
Yeah, I would compare it to like alcoholism. Like you're never really cured. You're just in remission for the rest of your life. And I felt a lot of anger about this, and I've like spent a lot of nights crying about this, about how it's just a part of me, and I just can't shake it off. And it's the best thing I can do is to treat it and to do the things that are best for me. But there are days where it's gonna come. And
you know what has actually helped me a lot, like be okay, or I guess more okay with that idea, is to really practice gratitude for every day that is a good day. And I know that that sounds like cheesy and weird or whatever, but honestly, just the act of recognizing like today is a good day. Like today I felt things. I felt good and I felt bad and I was able to laugh without trying so hard. And like those days when things aren't that hard are something to be celebrated and recognized. I feel like for a lot of people, being normal should be, or not, okay, being normal, but like being at balance should be something to be really happy about. And I think that that gets swept under the rug a lot, especially when you get in your head about like, oh, or when I get in my head about, why is this happening to me? Like, I'm a good person, I give to charity. But just recognizing, like, and being okay with the fact that you never know when it's going to hit is such a journey in and of itself. And I don't think you're ever going to be done with it.
It's a journey of acceptance for sure. Like, bad things are going to happen, but also there's this extra, super bonus bad thing that might happen also.
And you never know. Just like life, you never know when bad things are going to happen. It's just that this bad thing is something that we carry with us every day.
Yeah, that's a thought to hold. One thing I also wanted to mention, and I don't want to seem like I'm skimming over it, so I wanted to mention it, is like she has a couple of like eyebrow-raising, kind of racist things she said in this book.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah. It's the 1950s and she's white. Yeah. Oh, Sylvia. So she like looks in the mirror. She describes herself at certain points in the book. At certain points in the book when she does not look good. Like she just went through something, or like she just looks at herself in the mirror. So she described herself as a smudgy-eyed Chinese woman. And then the next one...
Not cool, Sylvie.
And the next one she called herself a sick Indian.
Oh, fucking rude.
Yeah.
Who the fuck do you think you are?
Yeah, so we understand that those are things that exist in the book, and we don't want you guys to think we're just skimming over it to, like, fawn over Sylvia. Like, obviously, she's touched us very much, but like any other person, she has problematic and non-problematic aspects to her work. Yeah,
and I think that, well, specifically with this work, I would definitely recommend reading it despite those... racist incidents.
Yeah, not ignoring it, just being aware that it's there.
Yeah, and not necessarily forgiving it, but also understanding it was a time and a place.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say a time and a place. I mean, because I bet there's people right now who would describe themselves as a smudgy-eyed Chinese woman. Like, it's like a very retro insult, but still.
It is a super retro insult, and also, like, kind of, like, sexy. Like, oh, smoky eye.
Oh, smoky eye. Reclaim it. Yeah, reclaim that, bitch. Crazy Rich Asians hashtag.
Hell yeah. I like how you, like, put the hashtag after the thing you wanted to hashtag. This is where we are in our life today.
It's Spanish, so the adjective comes after the noun.
Okay, let's go with that. That's perfect.
Thank you for going with everything crazy that I say.
Right back at you. Okay, guys, thanks so much for joining us today on the podcast. We really enjoyed the bell jar, and we definitely encourage you to pick it up and enjoy it as well.
Enjoy it. Let us know your criticisms. Let us know what you liked about it.
Or if there are any other fictional works that you think would be awesome on the podcast, we're always open to trying things that you guys have to suggest, looking into it, and all that good stuff. Thank you to everyone who tuned in today. Our email address is selfhelpuspodcast@gmail.com. We always love hearing from our fans.
And we do reply, and we will mention you on the podcast.
We will. We love giving shout-outs.
Try your best to live your best lives, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.